Good morning, friends. One issue which has overtaken this country, and rightfully so, is as to how should common citizens of India, you, I, my dad, my mom, my kids, my teachers, my students, how should we as people deal with China? What should we do with the Chinese products? As it always happens in such things, emotions, they get better off the rational point of view. In this video, I'm not trying to give a definitive answers, but I'm requesting you all to think about these things dispassionately with an open mind. First thing first, when China occupied part of our Galwan Valley, our brave soldiers led by our hero, Colonel, we pushed them back. In the process, 20 of our brave hearts died. Chinese authorities may not accept it, but if you do a study of various social media in China, and if you see what the intelligence sources of other countries are saying, our soldiers didn't die in vain. They inflicted heavy casualty, maybe much more than 20, upon the enemy. So our soldiers, they didn't die in vain. They died for a cause. Let us all salute them and pay our tribute. My point of view is, when it comes to meeting the military offensive of China, we should meet it militarily. If it comes to meeting the economic offensive of China, we should meet it economically. When it comes to meeting the psychological offensive by China, we should meet it psychologically. And even we should go one step further, because China is a nation which nobody can trust. At least India cannot trust China for now. Many people have said that the theater command and the theater commander, what he did in the Galwan Valley when he came and he crossed over before these guys were pushed back, he acted without the approval from the top leadership of China. Maybe this is a theory being floated. They are looking for a way out. I'm not here to believe that theory unless I have concrete proof. Our soldiers in the border, in the line of actual control, will continue to inflict injury and wound upon China if China tries to behave the way it behaved earlier. What do we do with the Chinese investment? I and you are citizens of this country. First of all, we have to have complete faith in the leadership of the country. Whatever decision the leadership will take, they will take this decision after talking to experts, after taking into confidence all the stakeholders, and they will take this decision in the best interest of the country. China has huge investments in India. Most of the startups, if you say Paytm is no longer a startup. It was one of the first unicorns in India and China has huge investment in this. Chinese banks, Tencent, Chinese private equity, Chinese venture capital has huge investments in India. So should we boycott these companies? Suppose they have huge investment in a taxi hailing app. Should we boycott this app? These companies, these investments, whether they have come from China or they have come from Mauritius or they have come from Panama Islands or they have come from US, these are huge investments. These projects have huge gestation periods. These projects will start to break even not today. They will break even perhaps after 3 years, after 4 years. And the money is being sunk in Indian economy. Suppose Chinese businessmen have invested millions and billions of dollars into Indian market. This will initially help us. This will help us and them build factories. And all these projects will not make much profits, at least in the initial 3, 4, 5 years. They will employ large number of Indians. I think it would be unwise to say that we should boycott everything which is Chinese. We should boycott Paytm, for example, or we should boycott Ola and Uber if it is funded by Chinese money. I don't agree to this. Simply because even if it is the enemy country's businessman has spent money, invested the money in our company. So I personally think we have to be very, very cautious in giving sweeping statements that okay, tomorrow let's do away with Paytm, for example. I'm not talking of TikTok or any other thing which are not necessary for India, which are not necessary for anything. Now let us take the case of those in Chinese investments in India for which we have an Indian alternative, good Indian alternative. We are importing all the products for a shoe from China. We are importing tires from China. Now the tire capacity in India is quite huge. Why we are importing from China? Some of the big manufacturers or suppliers of or marketeers of tires are actually importing tires from China and selling. We can look at saying no to such products. Why should we not buy an Apollo tire or a MRF tire or a Dunlop tire which is produced, manufactured in India? Here we are very clear. We should wholeheartedly support Indian product even if the product is slightly higher priced. But does it mean that from tomorrow we should just stop using all Chinese products? We have to think about it. We have to think if these products are made in India, if these products or services are made available in India, even if these are financed by Chinese businesses, and if they are employing so many Indians, boycotting them could be counterproductive for now, until and unless we have developed alternatives. Then there are certain products which may not be Chinese, but they are all manufactured in China. Look at iPhone or a Macintosh. I'm not talking about Vivo, which is a Chinese company. But even there are many Chinese brands who have invested heavily in India and they are assembling their mobile phones in India, thereby creating a lot of job opportunities. They are paying taxes in India. They are paying GST. And whenever they will make any profit, they will repatriate these profits to their country after paying all the taxes. They will pay dividend tax also, directly or indirectly. If they make profits, they will pay income tax also. So any Chinese investment which has come to India, where manufacturing or services are being procured by India, if we boycott it, it could be counterproductive for us. Then there are certain products, as I said, which Indian manufacturers are able to make. We should appreciate, we should encourage them. So I don't see why we can't go and support Micromax or Lava. But these companies have to, raise their price, raise their quality standards. And one thing also, almost all electronic components in India are sourced from China, whether it is a transistor or a resistor or a MOSFET, all are sourced from China. So we should try to develop alternative source. Taiwan could be another source. Any other country could be an alternative source. Once we have developed their source, then we can boycott it. But to simply say that from tomorrow we should boycott these services, I think it is impractical. I think it is not feasible for now. We should also think that the trade balance between India and China. India exports goods worth 17 to 18 billion dollars to China. China exports around 80 billion goods to India. So the trade is not very balanced, I agree. But we have to ensure that we export more to China and we import less from China. But suppose we stop all imports from China, will it kill China? China exported last year 20 billion dollars worth of product. 2020 billion dollars. And out of this exported to India how much? 80 to 85 billion dollars. So less than 4 to 5%. Whereas for India, China is a big export market. A $20 billion export is a big export for India. China is among the top 10 countries when it comes to nations which are importing from India. Whereas our imports from China, they form only 4 to 5% of Chinese exports to India. Will that kill China? No. I'm not saying that we should not boycott Chinese products. But when we go into a frenzy, when we say, okay, tomorrow we will not buy from China, and when a Vivo sale is on and we go into a mad scramble and we ensure that we buy stuff worth hundreds of crores in 5 days flat, that is what it hurts me. All as a nation, we don't have to proclaim something. We have to unite, we have to decide, we have to strategize, and we have to act. Thank you.